All right, let's just jump right in. We are going to spend this explainer looking at the complete journey of taking those fragile, experimental AI systems you've been tinkering with and turning them into robust, secure, and most importantly, highly profitable agentic systems. Look, it's 2026, and the industry has completely shifted. The honeymoon phase of building cool but easily breakable AI pilots, that's over. Today, the absolute only thing that matters is deployment. It's about getting your AI agents firmly embedded into the daily rhythm of an enterprise and actually turning them into a real sustainable business. So there is a completely stark contrast between how we used to build and how we have to build now. Think about the classic AI prototype. It's usually built on hard-coded prompts that completely shatter the second they encounter real-world variability. It has these silent failures that instantly destroy user trust, and honestly, the unmonitored token usage usually leads to a massive, terrifying cloud bill. But production is a totally different beast. You need a multi-layer architecture, incredibly strict guardrails, and a fundamental shift to outcome-based revenue. You're not just writing prompts anymore, right? You are literally building an AI factory. So here is our exact roadmap to get you to production. First, we're going to architect the system. Second, we'll lock it down with guardrails and zero trust. Third, we'll tackle deployment and cost control. And finally, we'll get into the fun stuff, monetization strategies and structuring your subscription plans. Okay, step one, architecting the system. Because building a profitable agent absolutely has to start with a rock-solid foundation. Without it, even the most brilliant language model is just going to collapse under heavy enterprise demands. First things first, you have to match your orchestration framework to your specific use case. This isn't a one-size-fits-all situation. If you need a single agent system with really fine-grained control and graph-based state management, LangGraph is exceptional. Honestly, it's highly recommended for your very first production agent. But say your use case needs an entire team of agents, all collaborating and delegating tasks based on specific roles, then you're going to want Crew AI. And finally, AutoGen is your go-to for conversational patterns, especially with its built-in code execution sandboxing. The big takeaway here? Don't try to force a framework onto a problem. Pick the architecture that actually fits the work the agent is doing. Now, when you're building this out, you really need a 3-layer enterprise architecture. Separating your system into these distinct layers limits what we call the blast radius. So if something breaks during an upgrade, it doesn't take down the entire operation. Your application layer sits at the top, handling your core business rules and input validation. Beneath that is your orchestration layer, which routes requests and coordinates the actual tasks. And finally, your AI layer. This is where you manage specific model controls, things like pinning your specific version of Claude, doing token accounting, and dialing in reasoning effort settings. Keep your business logic isolated from your AI prompts, and your system will actually stay reliable day after day. Which brings us perfectly to our second step, guardrails and zero trust. We have to armor our agents because putting an LLM into production without strict boundaries is just a recipe for a massive headache. Security cannot be an afterthought anymore. So let's clearly define what zero trust means in the context of agentic AI, because treating your agent with this mindset is absolutely non-negotiable, especially when you're handling sensitive customer data. Zero trust means your agent starts with zero inherent permissions, none. If it needs to read a database, it has to be explicitly granted that minimal access. Tool executions, like running a Python script, must happen inside tightly isolated sandboxes. And most importantly, you have to validate every single tool call before it actually executes. That validation step is your absolute best defense against prompt injection attacks, where someone tries to maliciously hijack your agent's instructions. If you want a masterclass in this, look at how the healthcare sector handles it. Based on MIT's 2026 security architecture, we can build a physical wall around our agent in 4 distinct steps to prevent data exfiltration. First, kernel-level workload isolation. Using tools like gvisor containers, you basically wall off the agent at the OS level, like a digital quarantine. Second, you use proxy sidecars. These act as middlemen, so your agent never actually sees the raw secret keys or passwords. Third, strict network egress policies ensure the agent can only talk to pre-approved allow-listed destinations, no wandering the open web. And fourth, a prompt integrity framework uses cryptographically structured metadata to separate your trusted system instructions from untrusted user inputs. Honestly, if it's secure enough to prevent HIPAA violations in healthcare, it's the gold standard for your business. All right, step 3. Deployment and cost control. Because now that our agent is secure, we need to release it into the wild without completely bankrupting the company on API fees. A brilliant agent is entirely useless if it costs more to run than it makes. Look at this number, 90%. That is how much you can potentially slash your input token costs just by utilizing features like prompt caching and batch processing. When you're dealing with agents that constantly loop, reread context, and evaluate decisions, caching isn't just some nice little optimization trick. It is literally the difference between a highly profitable product and a complete financial black hole. You also have to be incredibly smart about routing. Dynamic LLM routing ensures you only pay for heavy computational reasoning when you genuinely need it. For high-volume, latency-sensitive stuff, like basic data extraction or just triaging a support ticket, send that directly to Claude Haiku. It is incredibly fast and cost-effective. When you hit complex coding or multi-step reasoning workflows, step up to Claude Sonnet, your reliable flagship workhorse. And you reserve Claude Opus strictly for tasks that demand maximum horsepower. We're talking deep academic research or highly critical decision-making. Routing intelligently based on query complexity is going to cut your costs dramatically while keeping your output quality top-notch. Okay, so costs are tightly controlled. Let's move to step 4, monetization strategies. This is the peak of the pyramid. How do we actually sell this incredible system we've just built? We are right in the middle of a massive paradigm shift. You are no longer selling software seats. You are selling the actual work your agent completes. Think about it. Traditional SaaS monetized human augmentation. You bought a seat for a human to use a tool, and you paid for it even if they barely logged in. But agentic AI, it monetizes human automation. Because the AI is doing the work independently, you charge based on the tangible, measurable outcome it delivers. If your agent completely automates a tedious workflow, your customers are going to happily pay for that final result, not just the privilege of logging into a dashboard. And we're already seeing this exact model working perfectly in the real world. Take Intercom's AI agent, Finn. They charge 99 cents, but only when the agent actually successfully resolves a customer support ticket. Or look at ChargeFlow, an AI that handles retail chargebacks. They take 25% of the recovered revenue, meaning they only get paid if they actually win the dispute for the customer. PagerDuty does something similar, charging per event ingested to align their cost with your actual monitoring load. This outcome-based pricing is brilliant because it builds massive trust. Your customers know for a fact they are only paying for guaranteed value. Finally, step 5, subscription plans. Once you've figured out your value metric, you have to package it up into tiers that actually capture an enterprise's willingness to pay. This is where clever fencing strategies come into play, helping you create those natural good, better, and best subscription tiers. First, there's security fencing. Keep your basic security solid, but put true enterprise features like single sign-on, role-based access control, and strict zero data retention policies in your premium tiers. Next is specialization fencing. You could offer a really solid generic agent in the base plan, but charge a premium for access to specialized domain expert agents, like a dedicated legal or financial assistant. And lastly, autonomy fencing. Maybe your basic tier agent only reacts to single prompts, right? But upgrading to premium unlocks a fully autonomous agent that can execute end-to-end workflows completely on its own. But listen, before you finalize any of those subscription prices, please run your metrics through this API cost formula. You take the number of actions your user performs, multiply it by the cost of the input tokens to read their request, and then add the cost of the output tokens needed to generate the response. And always remember, output tokens are significantly more expensive because generating text takes way more compute. Do the math. It is literally the only way to guarantee your amazing new agent isn't accidentally costing you money every single time a customer clicks a button. So, I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative question to think about. Are you building a prompt or are you building a business? Because the technology is well beyond the prototype phase now. The models are fully capable, the orchestration frameworks are mature, and the zero-trust security protocols are completely mapped out. The only thing left to decide is whether you're going to keep tinkering with isolated, fragile prompts, or if you're ready to build the layered, secure, outcome-driven business that the market is absolutely begging for right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it gave you the blueprint you need to take your agents from prototype straight to profit. Keep building, and I will see you next time.